Jai Baba, everyone. I want to thank the Avatam Meher Baba Center of Southern California, the committee, for being so gracious and inviting me to come and be in their presence and be with all you wonderful Baba lovers. I've met friends that I haven't seen for a long, long time, and the surroundings and the warmth and love that I feel here, Baba didn't want me to miss it, and I thank him. Now, the theme that they asked me to speak on was how I came to Baba. It should be how did Baba snatch me or hook me, because it was he who went out and pulled me in, his fish. Well, let's begin with my sister Beryl. She was the seeker in the family. She was restless, an avid seeker. She didn't know herself at the time what she was looking for. She would go from one thing to another, from metaphysics to Dianetics to, she was just searching and searching, and as she told us later, she was just driven, and she was looking for something. She didn't know it was God at the time, but she was looking. And Beryl was a very bright young lady, and she had this habit of whatever she would find, whatever she was reading, whatever she found interesting, she would come to my house. She didn't live with us. At the time I was living with my mother. And she would come to the house and she would read and tell me all the things that was concerned her and interested her, and also my older sister. So when she got into metaphysics, she came and she told me about this doctor and the lectures, and I found him very interesting, and I started attending his meditations. And I found that I was doing very well. In the meantime, she is finished with him, and and that's just the way she was. Off to something else, and she'd come and she'd tell me, oh, no, there's something else, and she would expect me to drop, and I couldn't keep up with her, to make a long story short. I was happy. I had this functional life. I was married. I had one child at the time, and I said, she's not married. She can be running. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I would go and I'd do my meditations. You sit and you cross your legs and you breathe through one nose and let it out in the other nose. And then you would close your eyes and you'd envision God in you and all this. And I was happy. Then one day she brought this, the life and teachings of the masters of the Far East. Now she was getting into Eastern philosophy. And always reading. She would always read and explain and read and explain. So I found them now to be very interesting, where they said that you can travel, they're on these planes, and the individual can do it himself. And they gave you the formula, how to, use these different, meditations and incarnations and whatever, and you can arrive at the where they are yourself. So now, here's where I stopped. I'm satisfied with this. I would do these things. The infinite God is within me, and I am part of the infinite whole. And, all these meditations I would do. In the meantime, now, Beryl is off to Sri Aurobindo. I couldn't even pronounce the name, And she would say, oh, yes, this is a little heavy, a little over your head. But she'd read it, and she'd read it. Okay. Now, this is in the period between 1951 and 1953. My father had a friend. He also was into metaphysics, and they used to talk and whatnot. My father had a friend, and she got tickets to hear Norina Machiavelli speak at Carnegie Hall. My father got sick, so he couldn't go, and he gave the ticket to Beryl. Beryl went to hear Norina speak. Now, Norina told them about the master, and the theme was on Baba, the master, this master in the East, and how he is expected to make a return visit to the West. And was she ready, Beryl? She ready. She had arrived. So you had put your name on the list, and when they got more information, they would get in touch with the people on the list. She put her name on the list, and in the meantime, I imagine she was in contact. She was in contact with them. I am perfectly happy. In the meantime, my Baba had me to get pregnant, and I had not one baby, but 2 babies. So I'm all. So when I would think about it, I would do my chanting, and I was happy where I was. Well, when she heard the Baba was coming, in 1952, she came and told me, asked me if I wanted to go down to Myrtle Beach to meet Baba. I'm grumbling to myself, how should I should tell me he's a master and he's this? And I'm thinking, grumbling, how can she know he's a master? I'm not going down there in the South. She can go down there. That's what I said. She can go down there. That's just what I said. Go down there if she wants to. I'm not going down there. So Beryl went and she met Baba. She came back now. Meantime, she came back, and I'm pregnant. That was my early pregnancy then. Baba had the accident and all, and she was taken up to, going back and forth and with Baba, and So when she did come to see me, the minute I saw Beryl, I felt there was something different about her, I felt that something, but I ain't paid any attention. And as time went on now, I had the children, and there was nothing for Beryl to do but come and tell me about Baba. I'm home from the hospital, 3 children. Beryl would come boom, boom, boom on the door. I'd look through the peephole, God, not again. She'd come and she'd sit on the stool in the kitchen, and she'd read. She'd read about the discourses on love, and she'd read it. Then Baba, I didn't know it was Baba then. Baba say, maybe she's hungry. You want to eat, Beryl? Oh, yes, I didn't have breakfast. I have to stop what I'm doing, diapers, bottles, give her some breakfast. Well, to make a long story short, Beryl would come, and she knew that I didn't like her coming. And she told me after, she said, she would get up in the morning, Baba told her, she would get this push to go up to Bernice. And she would come up to Bernice. And I began to notice this. I said, now this isn't Beryl. Beryl had a fuse this long, you see? And if she didn't say something the way she liked it, she was finished, snap you up, and that's it. And she knew I didn't, and I could tell it. I didn't hide the fact that she annoyed me, And to the point where I told her, I said, you telling me all these things. It's like and she would tell me, you need a master. You need a master. You cannot do this by yourself, and other things. And she'd read me what Baba said, and she'd read me what Baba said. So one day I got so exasperated. I said, I can't understand what you're telling me, Beryl. I said, it's like you take a person with a broken leg and you take the crutch and you give them nothing to walk with. You know, I can't understand this. So she left this book with me, the Discourse on Love, and I'm going to say, love. She need to get married and have some children. Then she know what love. But wait till I tell you about the marriage and the children. Papa was listening, you know. Okay. So she left me the Discourse on Love. And when she was going out of the door, you know, this is over a period of time, she'd come back and forth. Well, this particular day, it was a Saturday, I remember it was a Saturday. And she gave me this book, and when she was going out of the door, she said, "This is for you." And I took it, and we said goodbye and all. And when I closed the door and locked it, I wondered what it was. Instead of looking at it, I just held it and it's a little foyer, and then there's a hall leading to the bedrooms. So when I came out of the foyer and into the hall, going to the bedroom, I looked at what she had given me, and it was this picture of Baba. And as I did like this, inside me, my heart went, and so I got so scared. I ran in my husband's room, in the bedroom, and I ran over to his dresser and pushed the picture under his underwear, the bottom of the drawer. I was shaking. I didn't know what had happened to me. What is this? You know? Okay. I forgot about it. Got all involved in the things that I had to do, and I don't know how many days. She didn't come back for a while now, and about 2 weeks, I would say, she came up and she was talking, and in the meantime now, I took the discourse that she had given me. One night I was getting into bed, and I said, let me see this, this is. So I got into bed and I opened the book, and I tried to read it, and my head started spinning. I got such a headache. I said, what in the world? I said, you went to high school? You can't read English? I'm saying this to myself. What? And I got so mad, I slammed the book shut. I said, well, if this Mayor Baba is all she said, he'll show me. And I put the book in the drawer, So now she came to visit me, and she came back another time, and she talked, and so I said one day, I ought to take that picture out the drawer because she may think I don't want it. And I said to myself. Instantly, Baba said, don't take it out until you're ready. Just as before the words were out of my head, don't take it out until you're ready. Okay. I don't know how long that was after, but let's say a month or so after, I thought about the picture. So I went to my husband's dresser drawer, and I eased it out, and I looked at it, and nothing happened. And I put it up on his dresser. So I would still looks at it, and still looks at it, when I doing my work and at night, and whenever I was in the room, I would look to see if anything would happen. If it happened again, nothing happened. So eventually, I eased the picture over, dusted it, and put it on my night table. We changed rooms and gave the children our bedroom and gave them the bigger, and put it on my night table. Well, it was around September. This was I had played the numbers. Policy, the numbers. You go and you 3 numbers and you put the quarter on it and come out. I got this number. I said, oh, Harry, I know what the number's gonna be. He says, yeah. I said, I'm gonna run over to Doris, that's my friend. Her husband works in the hospital and he can get it in for me, you know? I said, I'll run over to her house and I'll put it in. Now, don't lock the door, Harry. I'm coming right back, because I put the children to bed. I said, now, don't lock the door. I'm coming right back. He said, okay. I went over to Doris, and I remembered that Johnny wasn't going to work the next day. So now, come on home, right? We sat and we talked. Doris put on the coffee pot, and we talked. Doris, I have to go home, you know. The door is open and Harry wants to go on to bed and blah, blah, and I have to go home. Yes, blah, and blah, 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 blah. Well, 4 a.m., I jumped up. I said, Doris, what is the time? Look at the time. 4 o'clock. I can't believe it. What happened? What were we doing? Talking. Flew across the court, like from here, and up the stairs, opened the door real quietly, you know, and went in. Everything's quiet, everybody's sleeping. So now, I said, well, I won't put the light on in my bedroom because I might wake Harry. He'll know what time I came in. So, put the light on in the hall, the same hall that I'm telling you about. The light from the hall shines just enough into the bedroom so that you can see what you're doing, you know. And I know where everything is, you know. So I went and got my nightgown and washed up and just getting ready to come out of the bedroom to turn off the hall light. Barbara says, why don't you meditate? All right. Meditate. Meditate on what? That's all Barbara said. Why don't you meditate? The children had a little chair, you know, one of these folding chairs, but a small one for theirs. For them, they had their own little table, you know, on the folding table. So I said, all right. So I took the chair, sat down in front of the night table, in front of Barbara's picture. My bottom didn't hit the chair good before the picture started glowing. The picture started, this light. I'm sitting there. And beautiful. And now the light is getting so beautiful, so radiant. And it's just ebbing and flowing and ebbing, flowing. And just dancing the outline Barbara and just outline Barbara. And he looked so serene, so beautiful. All of a sudden, the light seemed to go into the picture like this, and then it came out, boom, and it struck me here. And it was such force that I almost fell off the chair. I jumped up. I said, oh yes, I believe, yes. I was on fire. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was on fire from head to toe. I ran to the window. I threw open the window. I wanted to scream to the world. I wanted to tell everybody. Nothing would come out. I came back. I went to my husband. I rubbed him. I forgot he was sleeping. I ran in the room. I rubbed the children. I went to the phone to call Beryl. I realized what time, and I hung it up. I said, oh, Lord, what is this? Oh, I was on fire. I jumped in the bed. I covered up. Then, I kind of calmed down. I said, I wonder if that will happen again. I jumped out the bed. I went and sat in front of Barbara's picture. And no sooner did I sit down, the picture started to glow again. Now this is golden light, and permeating the The whole picture's so beautiful. It came around Baba's face, you know, and it outlined his whole face, his whole face, his whole face. Then it came across his forehead, like this. And then across each eye, his nose, his mouth, and it came down across his neck, and then onto the table. Slowly, you know, beautiful golden light across the table. On the table, I had pencil, you know, on the night table, I had a pencil, I had eraser, a lot of little things that you would have on a night table. And each thing that the light touched dissolved into the light across the table, right onto the end. Everything became one with this light. Then it started receding back to the picture with all the things removed from the dresser in the light. Then, as it got to Baba's picture, it became like the funnel, like a funnel, you know? And all these things poured into Baba. And when the last part of the light went into the photo, into the picture, Baba said, the nothingness of all things, the oneness of everything. And with that, it came out, the light came out of the picture again, across Baba, down onto the dresser, and each thing took its form again. Well, I wasn't the same for months. I tell you, I was suspended like, I was between, Baba did everything for me, as I said. I had the children, you know, little babies, and they had different formulas and all. And one day I was making the formula, and I remembered getting all these bottles. And this was the time when you made the formula with the bottles, you know, 8 bottles, and you put them in the where are the older mothers, in the sterilizer? In the sterilizer, you know, and they cooked them in the, well, you have to scour the brushes and make the formula and then put it in the bottle. So I was there making the formula. And the next thing I knew, I started out with the washing of the bottle. And I heard Baba saying, what time is it? In my head, what time is it? What time is it? So with that, I moved over to the refrigerator, because the clock is over the refrigerator, to see what time it was. And in moving over to the refrigerator and focusing on the time, I became aware of my surroundings. I became aware that I was in the kitchen and what I was doing. And the formula was all made and waiting there for me. And that's the way I functioned for several months. Baba would tell me what to cook and what to fix and and I used to say, oh, Baba, don't let anybody come near me. I just wanted to be with him. Just wanted to stay in that state. But gradually he brought me down, you know, to where I could function. So now this goes into 1954, and the men went over to India, right? The men went to the 3 Incredible Weeks, and Beryl had told me that while they were there, that the men called back, wrote back, and they said that Baba wanted us to meditate 4 different times. Upon arising, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the evening, and before retiring. So I said, good. And I started doing that. And it was at these times when, Baba drew me to India. I saw Baba for the first time in India, when the men were there, I saw him going up the hill in his white sadra. I'd never seen Baba in his sadra. I didn't know what Baba wore. He had on his white sadra, and the men were following him. And he'd stop and I didn't know what he was picking up, and he'd throw it, you know? And I told Beryl, she said, well, that's what, the men said Baba took them up the hill to his tomb. And I described him and everything, and she said, you saw Baba. Yeah? So many things, I can't even begin to tell you all the. And it was a period of learning, a period of Baba opening the heart, of cleaning it out as he wanted to. It was such a beautiful time. And it was then that Baba showed me that I was his child and he's my father. And there are times when I would feel this. There were times when I'd feel like I was a little puppy. And I'd want to get inside Papa's pocket and disappear. And just disappear. And just stay just close to him, and be with him all the time. It was a time of such joy, such a serenity, such a peace. Such peace. And at that time I could ask Baba anything, but I didn't have sense enough. One day, we used to go to the Monday night meeting, and after the meeting, we would stop in the restaurant, and Beryl would, and we would have a good talk about Baba, and Beryl would tell us Baba's stories. And so this particular time, Baba had asked us to write him. And he said, we would send a reply paid, answer, what do you call it? The reply paid, with the cable, but not to expect an answer from Baba, So we were sitting in the restaurant this night, and Beryl was sitting at one end of the table, and I was on the side. And I happened to look up, and I saw her mouthing to somebody, I got an answer from Baba. I got a cable from Baba. She was mouthing it, and I read the lips. Such jealousy. Oh, I got so mad. I got so mad. And I'm trying to control myself. I said, well, Baba said it, not to expect, and it's up to Baba if he wants to send somebody a cable, what's the matter, blah, 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 and all these things I'm telling myself. I came home seething. I got ready for bed, and I sat on the bed, and I cried. I cried to Baba, and I cried to Baba. Baba said, you do, and this is just the tone he used. You don't know how lucky you are. When he said that, a shudder, all I can describe it was, went through me. I jumped in the bed, covered up my head. They're famous for jumping in bed. Huh? That's my refuge, jumping in the bed. And it was a while after, I don't know how much longer, but Baba brought back I pushed it out of my mind. I didn't want to think about it, it hurt so. He brought it back to my memory, made me face it, what happened. And he said, that was God shuddering at the depth of his own ignorance. Do you get that? Even God had to shudder at the depth of his own ignorance. The ignorance, we're so blind, so far away, and it's God's own ignorance. He had to shudder himself. You don't understand it. Yeah. And we're so, the veil is so tightly drawn, you see. But it is all God. It's all the interplay and his Leela. Right? Baba would tell me stories. This is over a period of time now. He would tell me, instead of me reading the discourse, he would a father would tell a child stories. He would tell me stories. And this is when he told me about the inverted ego. Well, he's telling me about me and bringing me, the what is keeping me from him, bringing it up and clearing it out. So he told me this story. He said once a lover heard that his master was coming to visit his town. So his joy knew no bound that the master was going to visit his very town. So what did he do? He said he would go to the marketplace when he go to visit his master, and he would get a fruit, to present to him. So he did just that. He went to the marketplace, and he found the most beautiful apple, this delicious apple, red apple. And he went to see the master. And when the master saw him coming, he stood up and he welcomed him with open arms, and he gave him, the lover gave the master the apple. And the master took the apple and he put it on the table and told him to go home and come back the next day. Came back the next day, the master sitting in the same spot, in the same spot. And he saw him coming, and he reached out and he welcomed him with open arms. And he fell into his arms. And the lover was going on, but I gave him the apple yesterday. He didn't even need it. He told him come back the next day. He went back the next day and he saw him, so happy to see him, and say, the apple is still sitting there. So now he told him to come back the fourth time. Now this night, third night, couldn't sleep. He said, what is it? He accepted the apple. He's so happy to have it. He's so happy to see me. He greets me so warmly and so lovingly. He said, why doesn't he eat the apple? So this fourth day, the disciple is running the lover is running to meet him. Out of nowhere, the master, this knife, and fling, and the apple falls open. Wormholes, all inside this delicious apple. You following me? Are you following me? And just as the horrified lover wanted to dash his head on the ground in front of the master, he smiled. And he took the knife and he started flicking out all the holes, all the wormholes, making the apple now fit for the master to eat. You get it? That is the individual We had come to him with all these worms, and that was me. See, I thought I was a wonderful person. Really, I really did. I thought I was spiritual. I used to meditate, and I thought I was spiritual, and I went to meet Baba. I really thought I was a wonderful person. And in telling me this story, he's showing me that in the inverted ego that thinks, you see, that it's wonderful, it does good, it's living a spiritual life, and all the time it's pushing the garbage. Another thing he showed me, you understand what you know? And before the master can use that disciple, he has to clean him out. He has to get all these sanskaras and make him fit to receive this love, to receive. And the eating of the apple is receiving him, right? To be able to be fit to eat, for him. It's not what you think, what I thought I was, and what I really was. Baba showed me this, and I tell you, we laughed. Both of us laughed. He said it was from the beginningless beginning, from the time of evolution. It was always this desire to show the good front. And what was available to hide the dirt under? With another piece of dirt. There was dust. So I took this piece of dust, and as literally, and put the first piece of dirt under the dust, behind me, hiding. So this is my habit, pushing the dirt. So now he says, here, come to me, and here's this pyramid of dirt, and a little piece of dirt hiding it on the top from all the lifetimes. Do you understand? Here, you see, this little bit that I think is hiding this pyramid. And when I saw the pyramid, the mountain, all I could do was, we started laughing. Both of us, we just laughed and laughed. Baba said, it would be a simple thing for me to just sweep it away. But the fun is in sharing it. This is the interplay of the lover and the beloved. Yes, and these are the kind of stories that Baba would tell me, and we would have fun together. It wasn't always fun. He had to box my ears a couple of times when I didn't listen to him. But what a wonderful time! And I didn't know. Am I finished now? Thank you. Jai Baba.
Ask you questions if you want.
Huh? Oh, I have time?
A time if people would like to ask you questions, would that be all right?
All right.
Bernice, when did you see Baba? Are those stories when you saw Baba?
Yeah, there were. I saw Baba. Oh yes, I'm glad you asked me that. I saw Baba in 1956 when he came to. I had a chance, remember, I said to go in 52, but I wasn't going then. And Baba came in 1956. And yeah, I wanted to tell you this. And after all before I tell you that one, let me tell you this story. There were so many things. I used to, like I said, Baba would have me meditate on, had me at the time. We would meditate. I would meditate in the morning when I'd awaken, and at 12 o'clock, then 5 o'clock, and so on. So at 12 o'clock, I was meditating this day, And I used to subscribe to these magazines, and the man used to come once a week or twice, every 2 weeks, and you give him $1 a week until you paid for the magazines. So I had done my budget, and I had decided I wasn't going to pay him this month. I'll pay him next month, because I didn't like him anyway. He was so big and fat and sloppy. He used to come with all his shirt out and his stomach out, and he'd be dripping perspiration. And I said, oh boy. So anyway, I said, I'm not going to pay him this month, next month. So I'm meditating about it. And oh wow, such bliss, so wonderful, Baba. It's wonderful being with you and all. Baba said, somebody's gonna knock at the door. So it became now kind of, because it's such a blissful state, you have no idea. It's so, it's so blissful. And even though, as Baba said, somebody's gonna knock at the door, he brought me back, brought me down to where I was more aware of what was going on. And sure enough, knock, knock, and when the first knock, like pins and needles, just shot through me because I hadn't fully, become settled. And so I went to the door and I looked to the people. There's this man. When I looked through the people, I felt such love for this man. I wanted to get inside the man. I could feel this pull. Oh, I ran in the room and went in the drawer, and got the rent money and got the payment out of it. And we stay behind the door. I did all my business behind the door, my hands sticking out. I wanted to unite, to become a part of. I could see what was behind him, and what was behind me wanted to unite with that. I loved him, Baba. Oh, it was just wonderful. But see, that's the way Baba showed me things, not by talking or reading. He made me experience it. It actually happened. So I know what it is to feel that love, that pull. It wants to unite, to become one. The outer has nothing to do, nothing at all. It's beautiful. And can you imagine when all of us feel a little of it? I'll tell you another one little thing. In 1958, now this Baba said when he was here at Myrtle Beach in 1958, we were in the lagoon cabin. The three sisters went to see Baba at Darshan this time. Phyllis, Adele was there, and I don't think Marvel was there then, no. And here, Baba had the three sisters to come into the cabin. So he was sitting in his chair, his chair's behind here, and we were sitting in front of him. Beryl was in the middle. I was on her left, and Benita was on her right. So Baba asked us how were we enjoying the center, if everything was all right, And Beryl said, and we all said, yes, Baba, everything was all right. And Beryl said to Baba, Baba, we are so fortunate. We are so fortunate to be here with you, the three of us at this time. And Baba said, and it's a matter of fact, took on the face of the ancient one, and he says, ages ago, I ordained this.
What?
Ages ago, I ordained this. this meeting. Then he said, he did like this. Any problem? You know? Any problems with the prejudice? You know? Because we stayed at the well, we call it black now, but then we call it colored, the Colored Motel, off the center, you know, the Gordon Motel. And Lenny and his wife, my sister, and I, Beryl slept on the center, or stayed on the center. So they, Elizabeth arranged for us to have a bus. You know, other people stayed at other motels because everyone couldn't stay. It was too many people. Everybody couldn't stay on the center. So the buses took the people to the various motels. We happened to be at the Black Motel. So we said, no, Barbara, we're not having any difficulty, any problems, you know? So then Barbara looked at me. He says, you are very old. He says, you have been this, you've been that, very old. He said, but remember, the soul never changes. He says, but perhaps at one time, let's say, Eric is interpreting it, and this is how she's interpreting it. Let's say you were very beautiful, perhaps a blonde, very beautiful. And let's say you, this is how Eric is interpreted. You were, and Eric is and then, he said, you ignored a colored person. He said, so you had to take on a colored body so that you can feel what it's like to be colored. But Barbara told me. And I'm sitting there like a dummy. I'm looking at Barbara. I know what he's talking about. But don't think I didn't find out. Barbara doesn't say anything and do it at very bad karma. Very bad karma. I dreaded the South. You hear me say, you going down there? I dreaded the South. Now, my parents were born in the West Indies. We didn't know anything about the South, you know? She had a friend who used to come to the house. She was from the South. And she used to tell my mother of all the things that used to go on down there. And when we were always glad when a friend came to the house because she would chase us away so we could go play. And we were happy that we could go out and play because Mama had company. But this particular woman, this Miss Miller, she would talk to Mama. And I would get to the door and listen. And she'd be telling, and I would be trembling and shaking, and I didn't know what was wrong, why I was doing that. I had an inborn dread of the South. I had bad karma. One night, Baba let me experience a lynching. I was lynched. I know what the rope feels like. I know what it is to be lynched. See? Baba got rid of that. I had something coming for me in the South. And when Baba brought that business of color up here, you know, at that time, it wasn't for nothing. It wasn't for nothing. So, thank you, beloved. Thank you. That's all I can say. And in fact, in 1956, when we had long charms, Baba stood up after the different ones had come to the table, and he greeted him and he talked to them. He stood up and started coming around to the different tables to greet his guests and his lovers and all. So when Baba stood up, I said, "Oh, Baba, I don't know what to say to you. What can I tell you? I don't know. I had nothing to ask him. I didn't know what." So Baba said, "Just give thanks." Just give thanks. So when he came to our table, he took my sister's hand in my hand, and he looked from one to the other and he smiled. I said, "Thank you, Baba." And that's what I do. I don't know really how to give thanks or the meaning of the thanks, but I thank him. I thank him. Another prick at the ego. The same dinner that we were going, the luncheon we were going to with Baba. Well, you had to dress carefully. I had to. After all, I was going to be with Baba. So I went and picked out this flowered dress and this hat. And it was a little pillbox hat. Oh dear. And I tried on the hat, and oh, I look scrumptious. Just the right thing for Baba. Yeah. Well, Charmian took pictures. She went around and she took pictures. I know some of you have seen these pictures out here at Longchamps. Well, after Baba, after everything, Baba had gone back to India and the films were developed and they were distributed and whatnot, they announced, that they were going to have this showing of Charmin's pictures. Well, I knew I was in those pictures, and I could hardly wait to see them. So, honey, they put the pictures on, and I'm sitting there waiting. When that picture came on the screen, I could have died. Here was this stupid little hat sitting on top of my head, much too small for my face, and these big flowers. I was trying to get under the chair, but I couldn't get under I said, "It can't be me." And every time I look around, they were showing Charmin's pictures. But another prick at the ego. Boom. Yes. Oh, he knows how to do it. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, dear. Yeah. Well, Baba made me seem to myself, but that's the important thing. What you say? Yeah. You are being nice. Don't you? You can't build it up again.
Bernice, how was your husband taking all?
Oh, that's a good question. Now, I'll come back tomorrow. No, on the whole, Harry was very good. Let's see, I had the children in 1953. I had cesarean section. It was a difficult birth. So, all right, 53, 54. I wasn't well, and so we did, they were born in August and different things and that. So we didn't have, after the children, we didn't have much sex. So here comes the order from Baba we have to be celibate for 6 months. For 6 months. I said, "Oh, Baba, how am I going to tell Harry?" I mean, Harry would say yes, to things, but I didn't know how he was going to yes this one. But Baba told me exactly how to talk to him, what to say, And it was difficult, but it went over, you know. And I give him a great deal of credit because, I mean, it was all new to him, you know. And for him to go along with me with something that he, you know, knew that he, although he had respect for Baba, yeah. He hadn't met Bob. He met Bob in '56, but at this time it was this was before he had met Baba, and for him to go along, I gave him a great deal of credit. But Baba helped. Baba helped, great deal. He never opposed me, you know. In fact, he was a great deal. He was always supportive, you know, with things I wanted to do.
When did you start noticing the change in him, though? Because he was a Baba.
But he was never outside of Baba. You know what I mean? There's no change in him. But I mean, he met Baba, you see, and Baba loved him. In fact, his sister died in childbirth, and it was his younger sister, and he was really broken up, and we sent a cable to Baba, and Baba sent the cable to Harry, and he told him in the cable, he said, Elizabeth, this was his sister's name, Elizabeth is blessed in my love for you. Okay. So you see, Baba loves Harry. He's a good person, very, very good person. And the fact that he doesn't talk about Baba or read Baba's books, he lives a good life, you know? Why you think I'm here? He took his vacation so that I could be here. He's with the children, 4 children. Yeah, he took his vacation. Mm-hmm. When we went to India, it was the same thing. Mm. Yes, dear. Now. My children range in age from 33 to 7.
Explain that.
Yes, I think I'd better. Well, we have 3 children of our own. 33, and the twins are 30. And then we have 3 adopted children, 12, 10, and 7. And our granddaughter we're raising, who's 11. So now you know. And in between we have had at least, altogether we have had 14 children, because we've had foster children.
I know you're sick of me asking, but can you tell the story about the foster child one more time, and then that's it. Please share that.
You want to hear that? All right.
Yes.
Yes. This is worth sharing. You don't mind if I get goosebumps all the time?
We do. Yeah.
As I've explained, we have 3 of our natural children, or birth children, and I was just anxious for them to grow up, so I could be free. I didn't tell you, I went back to school and took courses in bookkeeping and and switchboard operating and all. I was getting ready, honey. Because when the last one, I was getting, oh boy. Well, I started getting restless at home. So, Bob is very helpful. He said, why don't you do volunteer work? So I went to the hospital, and I applied, and they accepted me, and they put me up in the preemie nursery, and I found it too distressful to see the little tiny babies and their struggle, and all in the incubators, so I left that. And I heard in the meantime that at the Foundling, this is a rescue place for children. The origin of the Foundling was that the nuns used to leave baskets outside their doors, and rather than you have abortion in the earlier days, you would, if you didn't want your baby, you would put the baby in the basket, and leave it in front of them, and they would, in front of the door, and they would take the baby and take care of it, right, Adele? And it was called Foundling. They would, all right. So I went to this, to the New York Foundling Hospital down on 30th Avenue, and I applied. Now, it's a Catholic hospital. Listen to this. It's a Catholic hospital. And in those days, if you were not a Catholic, they wouldn't accept you. I went down, I filled out the application, I put down I'm Protestant and everything, and man, those wheels started jumping. And here I am, a volunteer and when we used to sit down for lunch and we were talking, some of the other volunteers, we get to talk, they asked me about this and that. And when they found out that I was Protestant, they said, well, how did you become a volunteer? They don't, as a rule, take non-Catholics. But I was there. So up on the ward that I worked on with the children, the sister said to me, Bernice, why don't you consider foster care? She said, there's so many children who need homes, and you would be more help to them in the home situation, in the home. They didn't use the term situation then. But anyway, it sounded nice, and I've forgotten that I can't wait to get rid of these children of my own. I've forgotten all about this. This sounds so right. Oh, yes. Put in the application for foster care. Bing, bing, bing. Interim care. Take care of the child until the mother is able to take care of it, and then it goes back to its natural mother. Okay. I was in 2 weeks, 3 weeks the most. This ring. Oh, Mrs. Ivory, we have an emergency. We have this little girl in Long Island, and she's being very badly abused. It was a young couple who had her in foster care. The mother was 15, and she had the baby at the family, and she left it there. She was wanted to go back to school, and the child hated the nursery. She used to scream. She hated it. So they had to put her in foster care. So they put her with this couple. It was a young couple, Long Island. And the husband left the foster mother. And she was using the money that she was getting for the care of the child to pay her mortgage. And she used to just give her nothing but milk. And when she came to me, she was just covered with diapers, rash, and she was a mess. So they called me and they asked me, would I take this baby, 17 months old, right? And, take care of her. Now, we had 4 rooms. I had 3 children, a husband, and myself. That's 5 people in 4 rooms. The rule for foster care is you should have at least a room for the child. Where am I going to put this child? In my bedroom with my husband and I. No, I had no crib, nothing. Everything I got. The crib, all the barriers just fell down and away. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. The minute the child saw me, she was so happy. She just bent my arm. I said, look what I should take it to you. I said, yeah. So I still haven't remembered, that I wasn't supposed to be having any more children. So anyway, the child grew nicely and all. And we got her 17 months, and she went home to her mother when she was 7 years old. But in the meantime, she was around 4 years old. Now, I have to go back to my childhood now to bring this up to date with I'm gonna tell you now. I was about 7, 8, 9, something like that. My mother used to send us to Sunday school, and I had a younger brother and sister, and the family upstairs, she had a son, 2 sons. One was an older boy, and the younger boy was around our ages, so we all used to go to Sunday school together. And where we had to go, it was dangerous. But with the older brother, it was really, he was old enough to take care of all of us. But he was full of foolishness. And he would chase Ralph, the brother's name was Ralph. He would chase Ralph up the stoop and chase Ralph, they'd run. And we were almost to where we were supposed to be going. He chased Ralph up the stoop. Ralph ran down, out into the street. Bam! The taxi cab hit him, killed him instantly. I felt so bad. Oh, I felt this was my first encounter with death, and to see the child just running, and now there he is all smashed up there. Oh, well, anyway, the family eventually moved away, and we moved away, and I grew up, and here I am, a grown woman now. I've had my children. Now I come into foster care. One day, I'd say T-Shawn, her name was T-Shawn, she was about 4 years old. And I was in the room, I don't know what I was doing, but all of a sudden, the entire scene of this accident that happened when I was 7 or 8 years old, just like a screen open, like something in my head just opened, and there was the whole thing, and I went like this. I was like, what am I thinking about this for at this late date? What's this? Why is this coming into my head now? Like that. I said, oh, Barbara. And I had to push that. And I didn't think any more about it. Another pushing behind, under the little piece of dirt, push it behind me. That's what I used to put things I didn't want to be bothered with. I would literally push behind me. You talk about turn off? That's what they call it now, turn off? Yeah. So anyway, here, I hadn't thought about this anymore. Now, this child was a very poor eater, and I used to have to coax her to eat what I mean, and sing and do, and almost stand on my head to get her to eat. And this day, I was at the table in the afternoon, she was getting her lunch, and I'm feeding her and talking to her. What? And all of a sudden, she was sitting here, and I was feeding her this way. She leaned over to me. She says, Mommy, do you remember the time when I ran out in the street and that taxi cab hit me and I died? I said, yes, T-Shawn, I remember. That's right. And she never said another word about that incident. Never. Amen.